Good morning, everybody. You know what time it is, or maybe you don't because we're on a slightly different schedule this week, but it is time for Pass Coverage Thursday. We're just doing it on a Friday instead. So, obviously, we gave up a lot of completions last week to Daniel Jones, but not for a lot of yards. A lot of checkdowns, a lot of quick little slants, quick little easy passes that the soft zone was just kind of allowing. They really only hit like two significant plays that whole game. So, pretty clean. I'd call that one pretty clean. Once again, just before I get into the numbers here, this is PFR, which I know often disagrees with PFF. So you can use whichever one you want, or use both, or use neither, and just go off your own memory, I guess. But I am using PFR for this data. So let's take a little bit of a look here. And overall, what I can say is that things were spread out pretty evenly this week. Nobody really got exposed. Nobody really got destroyed. Everybody just kind of gave up a little bit here and there. And nobody was like the problem. Nobody out there was just getting their brain bashed in it over and over again. So let's start with the linebackers here, like we always do. Bobby Wagner, let me make sure I get all the numbers right here. He was targeted a grand total of 4 times, gave up the 4 completions for a grand total of 33 yards. So I can live with that. I can live with that. It's not great, but it's workable. He's not really here to cover at the end of the day. 39 air yards, 83 yards after the catch. The big play he gave up was the 22-yarder to Breida, where he just kind of got a little bit behind the play, I guess, which that's the kind of play that shows you that Wagner's not what he used to be in coverage. That's the one area where you can clearly see that he isn't what he was. QB rating allowed so far this season of 109, and I'm willing to live with this, and I think we all should be pretty much. Devin Bush did not play a lot. He did give up 1 completion in this game, though. Got targeted once, gave up the completion, and that completion went for 5 yards. So he's kept things pretty clean. Not that he's played a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean the whole wide world. He's played in 3 games and played limited snaps in all of them. But the coverage is fine. 56.2 QB rating allowed. Jordan Brooks allowed a little bit, but again, he's playing better than he ever has before in coverage. 4 targets in this game, 2 completions, and just 20 yards. So the 87.3 QB rating is a remarkable turnaround for Brooks. You can see that air yards and yards after the catch are very close to each other, so he's not giving up big things down the field. He is giving up some yards after the catch, but again, you don't even know sometimes if that's on him. Sometimes the yards after the catch are on other players who blew the tackle. So, yeah, I'm really happy with what Brooks is doing in coverage. He's been targeted 17 times this year and has allowed all of 84 yards. If he keeps that up, we're not going to have any kind of a problem here. John Radigan got in at the end of the game, gave up 1 completion for 8 yards. Not much else to it. 100 QB rating. Yeah, nothing really there to analyze. Edge rushers, no edge rushers targeted in this game. We basically don't have our edge rushers get into coverage at all. I think we've just kind of tossed that to the side at this point. It's not a real part of our defense. We're just married to this 2-man front with the edge rushers basically being part of the front, even though they stand up. Cornerback. Some really exciting stuff happened here for sure. Tariq Woolen was probably the least notable of our 3 cornerbacks that played a lot on Monday. He got targeted a decent number of times. 5 times he gave up, I believe, 4 completions for minimal yardage. Let's make sure we get the number right here. Yeah, it was 36 yards. So a lot of short stuff, a lot of easy, soft completions against the zone. Can't really put it on him all that much. He did give up some yards after the catch on 1 play, but overall still holding it down, still doing fine. QB rating allowed of 87. Still pretty solid over there. I wish we would let him play a little more aggressively because I think he can do it. I think he can handle it, but for now it's not happening, and right now he's been targeted 8 times as an outside cornerback, and he's given up 43 yards. That's cool. Witherspoon, of course, we already know how good he played. He got targeted, according to PFR, they gave him a couple more targets than PFF did. They said he got targeted 6 times and gave up 5 completions. Gave up a non-trivial number of yards. They gave up 51 yards. So that's just the discrepancies you see from website to website. But again, he gets targeted a healthy amount and gives up less than 10 yards per target. And even if you do say he got picked on a little bit in this game, he made up for it with the pick six. Like, that's worth so much more. So he gets his first career interception. QB rating allowed is down at 75.3. He's allowing 50% completion. It's about as good as you could hope. So really happy about that. And Mike Jackson is the other guy we got to talk about here because he had to play most of that game because of injuries and only got targeted once. Gave up the 1 completion for, 7 yards. According to PFR, he was very clean out there. Overall, still not having a great season, 108 QB rating allowed. But overall, we're still talking about a good game by him. And we needed it because if everyone else's good effort went to waste because they just went at Mike Jackson 30 times in this game and he kept giving up completions, we would have had a problem. But Mike Jackson, you barely noticed him out there because he kept things clean. Trey Brown did not play. Kobe Bryant did not play. Artie Burns did not play. Sounds like the Trey Brown and Kobe Bryant are going to be back for the next game, by the way. Artie Burns, not so sure. We're going to continue to monitor that, but that's what I'm hearing. And that brings us to safety. Some interesting stuff here. Starting with Jamal Adams, who, of course, got that little cameo right at the start of the game. He gave up 1 catch for 2 yards, 79.2 QB rating. There's nothing to analyze yet, though, guys. So we're going to have to give this a little bit of time. We're going to have to see what happens next week. I guess he's off to a good start, right? You get targeted once and you allow 2 yards. That's totally fine. Quandre Diggs got targeted a little bit in this game. Obviously, he had the interception. He was targeted 3 times, gave up 2 completions. So every pass that was thrown in Quandre Diggs' coverage was caught, but one of them was caught by him. He didn't give up any big yards, though. Only 14 yards allowed in the game, so 7 yards per completion. And he had the 1 interception, so his QB rating allowed is 41.1. I don't think that really does justice how he was playing in the first few games when it seemed like he was having some problems out there. There were a lot of plays where he, I think, fairly clearly messed up, but he didn't get knocked for the completion allowed because somebody else, technically, it was his guy. Diggs just didn't come over to clean it up. But regardless, if we're talking about just him in coverage, pretty good. Julian Love had his first really good game as a Seahawk. He got targeted 4 times in coverage, allowed 4 completions, but he only allowed 21 yards. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, he's still off to a really rough start this season, 313 yards allowed in coverage. I know some of those plays are debatable, like that touchdown he allowed against the Panthers. I still don't think was on him, but again, I have no idea who it was on, so I can't really say anything about it. He's got work to do, but best game he's played by far for the Seahawks so far. Nothing else for Reed, nothing else for Tabor. And that's everything. So nobody really got beat up in this game in coverage, right? The closest we had was Witherspoon, and that's just by PFR. PFF completely disagrees. And even if he did get beat up, it doesn't matter when he does all the other things that he does. So yeah, that's it for your pass coverage Thursday on a Friday. Other than the Julian Love stuff, which is, I mean, that's got to be getting better from here on out. That's got to be kind of a weird aberration. I'm pretty happy with all of it. See you guys later. Go Hawks.